الله أكبر الله أكبر.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمد عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقداره العظيم. قال الله تعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ما يهده الله للناس من رحمة فلا ممسك لها وما يمسك فلا مرسل له من بعده وهو العزيز الحكيم. وقال نعم وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها إن الله لغفور رحيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in His book, and I began to start to recite the different ayats, but I just wanted to take the time actually to explain them as far as I can tell, one by one. And the first thing that we have to be cognizant of, I think, or thankful for, is that we have anything to talk about in the first place. You know, it's the problem with blessings, the problem with ni'mah, is that we take them for granted. So for example, we have iman. So we complain about having to pray salat, but we forgot that we have iman in the first place. Or we complain about having to make wudu, but we forgot that we have salat in the first place. Or we complain about shortcomings and misgivings and all kinds of things that happen in the world, but we forget that we have life in the first place. You know, I don't know about you, but for example, the first time I realized that God existed, I was very young. I don't know what about for you, but I didn't grow up in a family where He was just kind of presented to me. It happened. I was looking up at the sky when I was about 4, if I can remember. No, I think it was 3. I was very young. And I remember, this is my first thought I can remember actually, and I looked up at the skies and I thought to myself, whoever made that has got a really big hand. You know, because I thought, well, it's got to be huge. And all I could think of was, and he must be great. And this is a real basic thing, and something that comes to you when you are small and you don't have a lot of ideas in your head. But it's the most basic, fundamental reality at the base of our lives that we live every day when we say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. As it's been said before, it needs to be said again and again. Islam is not an identity. It's not something by which I can join this club, and by having association with this club, I'm part of a group. Now that I'm part of this group, I have an identity, and I have to make sure I fall in line with the group's ideas about what I should be doing. There's plenty of things for that in the world. If you want to do that, you can do that in a lot of different places. And do it a lot better, to be honest with you, because when you start asking questions like, what is the Islamic identity, now we have problems. There isn't one. There's La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And if there was an identity, most of us are not going to fit into it very well. But at the basis of that, what we have, the most basic thing that we have is the blessing. We have the mercy of the blessing. That we have is a mercy that Allah did not create this world and then just cast it into darkness and let it spin into the universe. But that He sent messengers, alayhim as-salatu was-salam, messenger after messenger after messenger after messenger, reconfirming and reinvigorating and retelling and reminding us and saying it again and again. The basic reminder is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is the proof behind that? Look, Rasulullah, he is the height of nubuwwah. He is the height of creation. He is the best of creation, alayhi salatu wasalam. And Allah said about him, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have not but sent you as a mercy to the worlds. So therefore we know that every messenger that comes after him, who is inferior to him in terms of completion, not in terms of risala, but in terms of perfection and completion, they're inferior to him, alayhi salatu wasalam, that every one of them that comes after him is also coming as a mercy as well. And what is that mercy that they're coming with? The mercy of reminding us of our basic dignity and our basic value and our basic worth and our basic, the mercy of our basic existence, that Allah created us for Himself. God did not create us to work in factories. He didn't create us to become CEOs of companies. He didn't create us so that we can be house owners. He didn't create us so that we can be fashion followers. He didn't create us so that we can be academics or we can be construction workers. He created us and gave us a tongue. And this tongue, it doesn't speak like anyone else. It can say something that nothing else can say. It can say Allah. Effortlessly. Allah. All you have to do is just raise the tongue. It's a raising of the tongue. Even that is a mercy and a blessing. To say Allah's name, we don't have to go down, we go up. May Allah lift us. So with that, from some of the ayat that we mentioned, Allah Ta'ala says, whatever mercy God unfolds for mankind, none can withhold it. مَا يَحْتِهِ اللَّهُ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ رَحْمَةٍ فَلَا مُمْسِكَ لَهَا. Whatever mercy God unfolds for mankind, none can withhold it. وَمَا يُمْسِكْ فَلَا مُرْسِلَ لَهُ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ. And whatever He withholds, thereof none can realize it after Him. وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. And He is the mighty and the wise. And we say, when we think about that when something unfolds, it is due to having been folded up at a point. You can't unfold something that wasn't wrapped up. And whatever is folded up is not visible. That's why you can't see it. It's folded up. It's not visible. It's not apparent. Hence the people of the cave were instructed. They were told to go out of sight to receive Allah's mercy. They went into a cave. And today is the day for reading that surah. And what did He say to them? And when you withdraw from them and from that which they worshipped except God, then take refuge in the cave. Go in. Your Lord will reveal for you something of His mercy and prepare for you in your affair some comforts. Notice that the mercy is something that is inside. It's not something that's always apparent. It's something that's inside. And in this ayah, Allah is telling them, look, go into the cave and you'll receive mercy from me. Oftentimes, what are we doing? We're looking for the obvious. We're always looking for the obvious. You ask anybody, and they'll tell you, if you ask them, do you want good? They'll say yes. You'll never meet anyone who says, I want bad, unless there's something wrong with them. And in the mercy, or in the good, there is mercy. So people are always looking for mercy, but they're always looking for it. We are always looking for it in the most apparent ways. And that's when we get tripped up. So whatever is invisible is in the unseen. Thus, God's mercy is coming from the unseen. God's mercy is coming from the unseen. Now, unseen to you and I is everything that we can't see. And I don't know about you, but there's most of the stuff in this world I can't see. I can't see behind me. I can't see what's happening on 41st Street. I can barely see what's happening on 40th, only at this intersection. As far as I'm concerned, right? How much of my life is in the unseen, in the ghaib? Some of it was seen and went back to the unseen because I can't even remember it anymore. Right? So that means that if Allah's mercy is hidden in the unseen, then I'm enveloped by His mercy because most of it I can't see. And my future, all of my future, I can't see it. Unless, Allah reveals something to a heart. May Allah have mercy on us. So whatever is invisible is in the unseen. Again, we'll take the steps again. When something unfolds, it is due to it having been folded up at a point. Whatever is folded up is not visible. You can't see it. Hence, the people of the cave were instructed to go out of sight to receive mercy, and those ayats were mentioned. Whatever is invisible is in the unseen. And as we said, most of our lives is in the unseen. Thus, God's mercy is coming from the unseen, which means that we're enveloped by God's mercy most of the time. Whatever is unseen cannot be detected. Whatever is unseen cannot be detected. You can't, if you tell someone, if someone asks you how many people are in front of the house and you say, I can't see them, then they ask you, okay, well then how many of them are there? You will go back and say, I mentioned, I cannot see them, therefore I cannot detect them. And that's why Allah said, or one of the reasons why Allah said, وَإِن تُعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. And if you were to count God's grace, His mercy, you could never reckon it. You can't do so. Indeed, God is forgiving and merciful. So we're seeing this kind of relationship between the mercy and the uncountability of it all, and the encompassing nature of it all. Whatever cannot be detected cannot be proven. And this is where most people, they fall short when it comes to religion, because they're so used to just tell me how much it weighs. Where is it located? You want to talk to me about God? I'll believe in God if you can tell me how much He weighs. It's irrelevant. But that's all people seem to know, is what is tangible and material. Some of them will go so far to say that I don't believe in anything that I can't see. And I tell them, then you shouldn't believe your mind because you can't see it. And then it gets quiet. Whatever cannot be detected cannot be proven. Whatever cannot be proven must be accepted on faith. Whatever you cannot prove, you have to take it on faith. Thus, God's mercy is accepted on faith. What did He say? He records, talking to his son, Luqman, talking to his son, Ya bunayya yadhhabu fatahassasu. Sorry, this is Yaqub with Yusuf. Ya bunayya yadhhabu fatahassasu min Yusuf wa akhihi wa la tayasu min rawhillah innahu la yayasu min rawhillahi illa al-qawmul kafirun. And do not despair of God's Spirit. And Tafsir Jalalain understands this to mean the Spirit means to be His mercy. And do not despair of God's mercy. Indeed, none despairs of the Spirit of God. In other words, God's mercy, save the disbelieving folk. May Allah save us. You will not find people who disbelieve in the mercy of God except the people who are in a state of disbelief. And I'm asking you to ask yourself about your relationship when it comes to the mercy of God, and do you believe? Do I believe in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because sometimes I can't see it, man. Does that mean it's not there? That's the whole point. It's in the unseen. We already covered this already. You don't need to believe in something that you don't need to believe in something that you can see. That's antithetical to faith. Right? Like the kuffar, they asked, and you hear these different ayat about it, about God coming down and making Himself plain. When God comes down and makes Himself plain, the last thing you got to worry about is like, you know what I'm saying? The last thing you and I need to be worrying about is anything about proofs. May Allah help us and forgive us. So whatever cannot be detected cannot be proven. And whatever cannot be proven must be accepted on faith. Thus God's mercy is accepted on faith. And the ayah says, do not despair. Do not despair of His mercy. Literally, it's rawhillah. Don't despair of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, none despairs, none gives up hope in the mercy of Allah, save the disbelieving folk. It's a characteristic, it's an attribute of disbelief. So when something happens into our life where we start to kind of be concerned about whether or not, like when we start to think bad thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or we start to think bad thoughts about Allah's slaves, or we start to think bad thoughts about our condition, or we start to think bad thoughts about our state, or we start to think bad thoughts about, for example, many of us, we have this misunderstanding that we think that we're perfect. And then when something happens and makes us realize that we aren't, we start thinking bad about God. Islam is a washing machine, in case you didn't know. And what do you do with washing machines? You wash dirty clothes. And I myself, I'm a dirty rag that needs to be washed. That's why we have Islam. So if something goes wrong, the last thing you need to be, like if something goes wrong, like, you know, from yourself or from someone else or whatever the case may be, the last thing that you need to be saying is, see, I knew it. And then the whole world comes crashing down and you start wondering whether or not God is real or not. Nah, man. These things are there. Allah puts these trials and tribulations and difficulties and hang-ups and hiccups and tip-overs and fall-downs and smash them up, crash and bash. Whatever happens, He puts that there so that we will look at it, and what will we look for? Mercy. When things go wrong, you're looking for mercy. If you don't believe me, when something happens to a little boy, who does he run to first? His mama. What's he looking for? When something goes wrong, in most households, where does the kid run to first? Well, that's debatable. The most merciful parent, whichever the ones that they are, that's the one. He figures that out soon on. Because when we make mistakes and when we fall down and things don't go right, you're not to look at yourself and then try to figure out how you can become more perfect. That's not how it works. And when things go wrong and things are not in the way that you and I want them to be, we are looking for one thing, that mercy. And where is it? It's in the unseen. So what are we doing? We have faith in God that it will come out. And sure enough, I'm asking you, billahi, I'm asking you by Allah, have you not seen this in your life? Have you not seen Allah's mercy come out of the clouds? Have you not seen it? Have you not sometimes seen it in places that are the most unapparent places? Have you not seen that? So when things happen in my life and in your life and situations go down, understand that the ultimate test that happens there, when we start thinking funny about God and funny about His mercy, what's happening there is a test of our faith. Do you believe or you do not believe? And you're not going to be asked, do you know all the pillars of Aqidah? That's not the question. Do you know what is possible for God? Logically. Do you know what is impossible for God? Logically. Do you know what is necessary for God? Logically. Right? These are not the questions that come down to you when you're in the middle of a jam and something goes down. And this is not belief, this is not faith, this is creed. And that's why you'll find that the people that are the most marhum, the people that are the most receiving of mercy and the most, they are the most tried of peoples. Because Allah wants to pour it on them. And you don't see them to be disbelieving people. I'm asking you, by Allah, I'm asking you, when you see and hear stories about people overseas, do you ever hear stories about them leaving Islam? In Syria, may Allah have mercy, do you ever hear stories about people leaving Islam? While we're over here with everything, and we hear stories about it every day. We are receiving, apparently, the most mercy of all people on the planet. Apparently, if you judge mercy by material things. That's not mercy. Mercy is something that causes you to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah have mercy on us, but like not in a way that causes us to turn because we're in pain or it's difficult, but just let us receive mercy and let it come to us majanan, free. Let it be a merciful freebie. وَأَوْصِيكُمْ بِتَقْوَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ وَأُوصِي نَفْسِي إِيَّايَ. And I commend you to God consciousness in all situations, and I encourage myself to do the same. وَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ, and ask Allah for forgiveness. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. Verily He is forgiving and merciful. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. Right, so as we said, when something unfolds, it is due to its having been folded up at a point. And whatever is folded up is not visible. Hence the people of the cave were instructed to go out of sight to receive God's mercy. And whatever is invisible is in the unseen. Thus God's mercy is coming from the unseen. And whatever is unseen cannot be detected. As the ayah says, and if you were to count the blessings of Allah, you could not do so. They can't be enumerated. Whatever cannot be detected cannot be proven. So whatever cannot be proven must be accepted on faith. Thus God's mercy is accepted on faith. May Allah give us faith. And sometimes you have incidences in your life that cause you to call on your faith, to detect your faith. Do I believe this or do I not believe this? And that's one of the best moments. If anyone's ever had that moment in your life, it's one of the best moments you'll ever have. When you have to really sit down and ask yourself, do I actually believe this or not? The brothers don't like me. The mosque thinks I'm smelly. I lost my job. Car broke down. My friends aren't calling me back. You're just down in the dumps. See, that's the Muslims though. And then you bounce, you leave Islam. What was that, man? May Allah protect us. It's not about people. It's not about the good they do for you. It's not about the evil that they do for you. It's not about yourself, you're a person. It's about Allah. And if Allah wants to give you faith and give you iman, then may Allah increase us and say Alhamdulillah. But understand that the relationship is a relationship of mercy. It's a merciful relationship. And so when things happen, it's a check, it's a mercy check. Do you understand how merciful God is to you? Because when something goes wrong, you remember how good it was. And it can always be worse. And that's a mercy. In the worst of worst situations, are you going to try to tell me that God couldn't make it worse? Don't say yes. Don't say no. Because He will prove you wrong quickly. And He said, يا بني ادخلوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخيه ولا تيأسوا من روح الله إنه لا ييأس من روح الله إلا أن قوم كافرون. And do not despair of God's mercy, literally His Spirit. Indeed, none despairs of the Spirit or the mercy of God, saith the disbelieving folk. Those who reject faith in God, are ungrateful to Him. Because the word kafir, it means ingrate. May Allah protect us from being ingrates. Whereas in truth, وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ إِذَا مَسَّكُمُ الضُّرُّ فَإِلَيْهِ تَجْرَؤُونَ. And the import of the ayah here is whatever grace you have, it is from God. None of us has a right to be ingrates to God, because what would you be how can I have a right to be an ingrate to God when anything I would be an ingrate with came from Him? How could I be an ingrate to God with my body? By, for example, drinking alcohol, or doing something that He doesn't want me to do with it. How can I be an ingrate to Him when He gave me the body in the first place? How can I be an ingrate to God with my mind, for example? By thinking things about God that are not appropriate. Like, man, do you think God really is trying to hurt you? There's all these creatures in the universe, and He's going to be worried about you? Couldn't He find someone better to hurt? Like, it's selfish to think like that. On the flip side, God made you, He didn't have to. Whatever you do because you don't have to is a grace. So my existence is a grace itself. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. And whatever you have, a blessing, is from Allah, and everything we have is from Allah, so therefore everything we have is a blessing. Oh, may Allah forgive us. All the things that we have are given to us from Him. I have myself, therefore I, or my consciousness, is itself a gift from God. All the things that we have are given to us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything we have. I have myself. If you don't believe me, do something to me and see how I respond to you. I'm going to be defense of whom? Myself. I have myself, therefore I, or my consciousness, is itself a gift from God, as my consciousness is a grace and thus a mercy. And through it I participate in the world. Understand what I'm saying now, because this is the most important part of the whole thing. All the things that we have, all the things that we have are given to us from Him. I have myself, therefore I, or my consciousness, is itself a gift from God. As my consciousness is a grace, my ability, me sitting here and saying, what is this Imam talking about? That's called your consciousness. That is a grace from God. And thus it is a mercy, because you didn't have to have it. And through it I participate in the world. Through that consciousness, I'm in this world by that consciousness. If you don't believe me, then may Allah have mercy on us. When a person dies, and that consciousness is no longer there, the body is of no value and he's not participating. When you're sleeping, where are you at? You're not here. As my consciousness is a grace and thus a mercy, and through it I participate in the world. All things I know of come through mercy. I'm in this world and I'm participating in it. With these eyes and these ears and this body and this brain and this entity is through which I am participating in this world. My mind and my consciousness is thinking about all of that. All those things are a grace from God. And through these things, I am witnessing everything. Thus I can vouch for His words, Ta'ala, when He said, وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. My mercy embraces all things. I can vouch for that, as my own existence and whatever I encounter is embraced by His mercy. Do you want proof that His mercy embraces all things? The proof of that is you yourself. You yourself are a mercy, a grace from God. And it's through you yourself that you yourself are participating in all things. And through that grace of participation, of existing, you are able to say that His mercy embraces all things, because there is no aspect of yourself or myself that His mercy doesn't embrace. Not one. I'm talking about on the bodily level. I'm talking about on the mental level. I'm talking about on the atomic level. I'm talking about on the subatomic level. At the quantum level. Because if it's there, it's from Him. And if it's from Him, it's a grace. And if it's a grace, it's His mercy. And if it's His mercy, then He's there. May Allah give us Allah. May Allah give us Himself. And may Allah have the kind of mercy upon us that helps us to realize His mercy and to be merciful. To be mercified. The receiver of mercy. May we be mercified more and more and more and more and more. You think this is it? You think that Allah just wants to give you mercy now? No, no. What do you think paradise is for? You don't know anything about mercy. I don't either. I don't even know what mercy is yet. No eye has ever seen. No ear has ever heard. But the biggest mercy of all those mercies, do you think the biggest mercy of all the mercies that lies in paradise is stuff like in this world? In other words, do you think that the baddest thing, right, bad meaning good, the baddest thing in paradise is a Mercedes? No, but you don't understand, Akhi, it's made out of Noor. The most beautiful and greatest and highest and most sought after object is Allah Himself. So you want to talk mercy? You and I don't even know anything about mercy until we see God ourselves. And may Allah make that true for everybody here, and everyone that's not here. Just a mercy. Allah, you said you're the most gracious, you're the most merciful. Well, here, all of us here are calling you on that. We believe in you, and if you are, then don't veil us from you. Don't ban us from you, because if you did, that's not very merciful. So may Allah give us Himself. Jazakallah khair. Allahumma ighfir lana jami'an. ونعم وأوصيكم بتقوى الله عز وجل ونسأل الله عز وجل أن يغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا أعمالنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله وأقيم الصلاة.